Welcome to Washington REIA, January 20,000, let's see, 2024. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We're live to you from our corporate headquarters here in Rockville, Maryland. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to get a few minutes for people to kind of join in as the link went out, and we're just starting our new Washington REIA meetings for this year. Look forward to talking with all of you and working with all of you as you come on tonight. If you'd like to say hello, that would be great. Sometimes it's difficult to talk into this microphone without knowing anybody's out there. But so as you come in, go ahead and say hello. There you go, Dominic. I can always count on you. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Well, tonight is, as I said, our first meeting of 2024. Gary, thank you. Good to see you. And we're going to do some of the same things this year. And we're also going to do a few things that are a little bit different. Tatiana, hello. First time here. Well, great. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any questions over, Norm, good to see you. If you guys have any questions over the course of the talk tonight, feel free to put that comment in the comment section. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can. If I cannot answer a question, I certainly will circle back with you and make sure you get that answer as the week goes on here. So again, feel free to give your comments and your questions, certainly on a subject like tonight, as we're talking about kind of forecasting 2024. So we're going to have a lot of opinions, a lot of different angles. We're going to look at this, and we're going to hopefully come to some consensus here. Rodney, great to see you. Gary, again, good to see you. Gary Richardson, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you all kind of coming on our live broadcast. So some of you know that have been experiencing some of these Zoom live meetings and so forth. We certainly appreciate you all coming on live. We have it posted, obviously, over the course of the month, and a lot of people I know with schedules, with kids, with things going on, with school ramping up. We get a lot of views too after the fact. And again, if I can answer any of your all's questions or comments, feel free to make those. So as I said, this is our first meeting. We meet 10 times over the course of the year. We take a little break in August, and we also kind of take a break in December. So I haven't come to you and talked to you, many of you, since November. So I hope all of your holidays were good. I hope everyone's kind of back in the saddle, if you will. We got started, I guess, what are we, third week in January already? Hard to believe. There we go. So hopefully you're all kind of back in gear and you're out making some good investments in the real estate market. And as we enter 2024, we thought a good topic for tonight would be starting off to kind of talk about our local market. A few things we're going to do this year. I'm going to involve certainly more of the network. We do some surveys at the end of the year. We found out that people would like to hear from a few more industry experts, if you will, folks that are within our network that have some real life experience with different things. So we're going to bring on different people over the course of the year to share with you at the beginning of the meetings different insights based on what that topic is that evening. The other thing we're going to do too this year is we're going to be really focusing on kind of really some, if you will, nitty gritty skill sets. We've heard from a lot of you that we want to go a little bit deeper with certain things. So we're going to be talking about things like how to analyze cash flow, and we're going to break down some properties. We might spend 1 month talking about techniques of cold calling. I know a lot of you from a prospecting viewpoint want to learn more about cold calling or how to engage with sellers or renters or different things that you're going after. So we're going to be really focusing on a lot of great skill sets for you this year. We also, obviously, I'll tell you a little more about this toward the end of the meeting, but we certainly have our live meetings. We finished that up last year, I guess in October or so. We're going to be gearing that back up, and we're going to be doing starting that in March. We're already forming the team of 24, as you guys have heard that verbiage, and we're also already starting to engage with that, and we'll do some live meetings starting in March. I'll tell you a little more about that as we go on. But as we start tonight's meeting, again, thanks for joining. Dwayne, good to see you. Aaron, Kim, always good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Terry, appreciate it. Thanks for coming on board. But Tonight, what we're going to start with is I just wanted to bring one of our members. He's a local realtor, builder, investor, landlord, property manager, speaker. He kind of does a little bit of everything. But the reason I asked him to come on tonight was kind of give his viewpoints as a realtor. Many of you know Jason. You've seen Jason around. Jason does some quite a few renovations, but he also is a full-time realtor with eXp Realty. And I thought I actually call him quite a bit to get his take because he's in a lot of neighborhoods and he's working the retail side of real estate as well as the wholesale side, if you will. And so I just wanted to start out 2024 with you, Jason, and turn it over to you, give you a few minutes just to kind of tell people, just from your viewpoint, your office's viewpoint, what the higher ups are seeing and what you're seeing. And that's not on a macro level, because we're going to talk about that tonight, but just on a micro, like DC Metro, your areas, your neighborhoods, and so forth. So what are you seeing out there?
So I can tell you that it's real competitive out there. That to give you perspective, I network with a lot of realtors, as you know, and we're seeing that realtors are leaving the business. Loan officers are leaving the business. In fact, an interesting stat that last year, 48% of all realtors, and this is nationwide, did one deal or zero deals last year.
Wow.
And so out of 3 million licensed realtors, 1.5 million only did a deal or nothing. Okay.
Wow.
I was fortunate we have 2,000 agents in Maryland for eXp, and I was fortunate to rank. I think I ended up number 22 in the state. But I'm looking at my numbers, and I was down 50%,
Right.
from the previous year. And so across the board, people that are in this industry are seeing transactions down significantly. John, you and I have talked a lot about the difference between realtors, whether you're transactional or relationship based.
Right.
And I think this is the year, in order to survive, especially if you're a good realtor, you better have those relationships in place. And
Right.
so what we're seeing is volumes down. I have a rental and very competitively based. I had last week, I had 30 people come through an open house from 5 to 7 on a Wednesday night in between 2 snowstorms.
Wow.
So, if you're, and I just sold a house in Potomac last month, the end of the month, where great school district, $30,000 above list, and we had multiple offers. And so, if you're in a good school district, we're seeing that low inventory. We're not seeing any kind of seller help in terms of closing costs yet. I'd expect to see that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But that low inventory has kept prices the way they are, even though interest rates are, about 7%. But it's been very competitive, very competitive.
That's good. So as you go into 2024 from eXp's perspective and so forth, I know you guys get a lot of training modules and different things. Are you doing anything different? You mentioned the relationship. So you're circling back with your network, your database. You're just letting everyone know that, you're there, you're out here, you're still working hard. I mean, what's kind of your strategy? Has your strategy changed at all from 23 to 24, or you just kind of keep plowing ahead? You said you had an okay year, right? Not your record year, but a good enough year. So
yeah. I mean, after having phenomenal years, I mean, anybody would take 50%. And that's just on the retail, on the realtor side. So I've supplemented that by doing more flips. So I'm a little bit more diverse than most realtors in the fact that I can go into multifamily, or I can do a flip, or retail real estate. So I think the best thing to do is, and I'm seeing this now. I mean, I got a call today to look at 2 potential flip opportunities in College Park from somebody that I'm just making phone calls. So it's figuring out how to really touch your sphere of influence. It could be a newsletter. It could be, I'm a phone guy. So John, as you know, I'll pick up the phone. Hey, how you doing? What are you seeing? What are you hearing?
Right.
Just letting people know that you're a resource out there. And I think you got to provide, as a good realtor, I think, in this market, just value. And that may be in the fact that it doesn't bring any dollars in your pocket, and that's okay.
Right.
But at least you're contributing, you're helping. I mean, I always say, if you help somebody get where they want to be, you're never going to starve a day in your life. You just don't know where that money's coming from. But, so many realtors over the last few years, were based on Zillow and Realtor.com and spending thousands upon thousands of dollars. Well, guess what? What happens when those buyers dry up and the interest rates are too high?
Yeah.
You're going to see teams disintegrate now like you've never seen before for realtors. And if you're an investor out there, the best person to get with is you find a realtor that you like and you trust and you want to build a relationship with.
Right.
Because these people are hungrier now, realtors are.
Right.
But you got to come to the table and be serious too. It's not just about kicking the tires, because I hear from colleagues of mine how investors or so-called investors are just monopolizing their time and going all over God's creation, and then want to offer prices in the dirt where there are going to be multiple offers. Listen to the person who's guiding you.
Right.
They're not just trying to make a deal; they're trying to make it sure that you win it. And if that's not for you, then don't put an offer.
Yeah, you have to create a system with a realtor if that's one of your deal sources that makes sense for them too. I mean, you have to do some of the hard work. You got to be running around. You got to be looking at these houses. You got to be making competitive offers, and you have to have your capital ready and ready to deploy. So that's good advice. Well, we appreciate it. And as I said, everybody, we're going to have Justin on regularly with some other people, some mortgage people, some insurance people, some renovators, contractors, just again to give you guys another feel of what's going on. Because again, we can talk about the real estate market and so forth, but our concern for most of us, 95% of us, is what's going on here locally in DC Metro. So we appreciate that. And again, you saw Justin's contact information scroll across the screen there. So if you want to get in touch with him, and I know he'll take your phone call or email and help you out. So thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining us here.
You did mean Jason and not Justin, your assistant.
I said
right?
Jason. I said that. Yeah. Well, I'm getting older. It's a year later.
Well,
Justin, Jason, what's the difference?
I'm named my third kid Justin because people would always call me Justin all the time.
There you go.
So I got a John, a Jason, and Justin. Just
there you go.
All measures, all captured there.
There you go. Very good. All right. Okay.
Thanks,
so, and you guys will see him on and off here the screen throughout the year. Also, too, he's part of the team of 24. Again, good resources. I'll talk to you more about that later. But having people that are on at the live meetings consistently, tapping them, understanding what they're doing, feeding off them, it's invaluable for people that want to get involved in real estate. So we appreciate it. All right. So let's move on. Let's move on to tonight. Talk. I was going to give you kind of some highlights or some ideas of what I see coming in 2024, but I wanted to step back a little bit and give you the global view. The way I'm going to break this out is kind of give you the ideas of things that I've read. I love reading about these things. First of all, I want to tell you, I've been doing this a long time, and I see some names here that I've also been around different for quite a long too. Alex, I know you've been doing this business for many years. Norm, I know you've been involved too. And I think you all will both agree with me that even though you can read all these reports and the articles and CNBC and look at different videos of what's going to happen next year in the market. Honestly, folks, from what I've seen, and I spent a lot of time doing this, honestly, I don't think anyone really knows what's going to happen coming up in the next year. We all have ideas. We all have guesses, if you will. But truly, I don't think anyone truly knows. So as we kind of start this, I say that so as I talk to you about some of these larger groups, if you will, you kind of take it with a grain of salt. So I kind of broke this down like this. First, I wanted to look at some of the bigger boys, like the National Association of Realtors, the National Home Builders Association, someone like Zillow, kind of see what some of the big organizations are saying about the upcoming market. Because remember, too, folks, these companies are large. They have a lot of well-paid analysts, very educated people looking at data and numbers and trying to come up with their best guess. But saying that, they also have an agenda. And I think all of us know that, especially being around the Washington, D.C. and national politics and local politics, sometimes when you hear things, you got to hear it through the lens of where they're coming from. And certainly National Association of Realtors is not going to get up and announce to you that the 2024 real estate market across the country is is going to be horrible, and that no one's going to buy a house, and interest rates are going to explode, and that housing prices are too expensive, and so forth and so on. Same with the National Association of Home Builders. We don't even have to really tell you what they're going to tell you. What do you think they're going to say? Of course, they're going to say, hey, last year was a little bit down. This year looks better. This is why. So I just want to preface this with some of that ideas that you're kind of thinking of. And the other thing I want to tell you as we talk about this, remember, real estate is local. So when you hear or you tap on some kind of video from CNBC talking about the real estate market, generally the people on are talking about the national landscape. So it's very difficult to compare the Washington, D.C. metro market. Even that market is very, very different. One of our team of 24 members, Charlie, runs a hard money fund. And I think Charlie's insights are fantastic. And I hope to have him on some of these REIAs meetings because he's really got his feet on the ground as he's lending money to different investors. And he will tell you that the difference between Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia, and the suburbs of Maryland are completely different. The market of Southern Maryland is much different than Frederick, Maryland. So we have submarkets within even an area like Washington, D.C. But when you talk about a national landscape, it's impossible to compare Cleveland with Tampa, Tampa with San Diego with Lincoln, Nebraska. They're just very, very different markets. So that's the first thing. When they're talking from a national standpoint, you can listen, but you got to understand that you're focused on your market. Okay, whatever that market is. If it's DC, great. If it's Maryland, great. If Virginia, great. If it's all of them, great. If it's, you're investing down in Charlotte, North Carolina, you want to get the stats and data and opinions of people down in the Charlotte, North Carolina market. So that's going to be important as you digest some of this information and we talk about some of these things tonight. But from a national perspective, okay, I can kind of wrap this little portion up fairly quickly. Most of them are positive. Most of them believe, and just like Jason mentioned. I mean, if you listen to Jason, he's pretty positive, right? He's saying that a well-priced house in a good market is going to get multiple offers still in this market. But when you hear the national big boys, the Home Builders Association, they're bullish. Housing starts permits are up a little bit. The index for the national home builders is up a little bit. They're feeling a little more confident about coming into the new year. And I'll tell you why. It's pretty obvious. National Association of Realtors, what do you think they're going to say? Of course, they're going to say that, yes, 2023 was a challenging year. The number of transactions was down. In fact, get this stat. The number of transactions nationally was the lowest since 1995. That just tells you right there. In 30 years, we had the least amount of real estate transaction in the U.S., okay, since 1995. So our hope is certainly 2024 is going to be a little better than that, right? So we got to kind of take some of that into account. Now, Zillow's kind of a big behemoth out there, an information data company. They're always interesting. Let me read you some of their best markets that they believe are coming up. And again, if you're in these markets, great. If you're not, no big deal. And they have consistency to them. Buffalo, Cincinnati, Columbus, Indianapolis, Providence, Charlotte, Cleveland, Orlando, Tampa. Now, again, Columbus, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Buffalo, what do all those things have in common? Well, the price of housing is much more affordable. It's much cheaper in some of those markets. Okay, so people can afford that. So some people are migrating or moving or are buying houses. So the markets naturally are probably going to come up in value a little bit because they're fairly well priced at the time being. Orlando, Tampa was a little bit of a surprise to me. I see them on other lists that say they're not going to do well. The main reason that the Florida markets, and they're kind of all over some of the least desirable markets going in 2024, according to CoreLogic, another big data company. Daytona Beach, Tampa, West Palm Beach, Melbourne, Florida. A lot of that pressure has just gone up so much in the last 4 or 5 years since the pandemic. That's very expensive. And the other thing that's really hurting the Florida market is the cost of insurance. Flood insurance. Now, folks, I have some properties on the coast, not in Florida, but in South Carolina. And I know this flood insurance is a real concern. So when people come in and that flood insurance, that cost of that is rising, that affects some of these properties. Even if they're very expensive properties. People are taking that into account with higher mortgage rates, higher insurance. You could see a little bit of pullback again in Florida. But that's just some of the things, Zillow is saying. They're also saying this. They believe that more houses will hit the market as mortgage rates, pretty obvious. They also say that the new starter home for most people starting out is a single family rental house. Okay, so if you're just getting married or you're have a partner and you decide to cohabitate, you're moving into a single family rental. Now, folks, I've seen this all over. Some of you know I'm pretty active in South Carolina, and I haven't seen them quite as much here. If you've seen some of this, feel free to comment. But they're building whole communities of single family rental houses, 40, 50, 60 homes that are all rentals. Has anyone seen that in the DC metro area? If you have, please throw it in the comment section because I haven't seen that quite yet. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these builders, developers are seeing this opportunity and money is flowing into this space where builders are building whole communities of single family rental properties. You see a big surge. You saw Jason just totally said this a minute ago, where you have some of this rental housing near the cities. It still has very, very strong demand, very strong demand. This one is interesting. I want you to take note. Everybody, hopefully put down your pen. I know you're taking a lot of notes tonight. And listen to this. Zillow says traditional home buyers will compete with home flippers. That's you and me if you're flipping homes. For homes that need a little TLC. Hold on to that fact. So now homeowners are buying houses. They need a little TLC. Just hold on to that. I'm going to come back to that a little later here in this presentation. Then they also, Zillow, not rocket science, are saying artificial intelligence will enhance the home search experience. More 3D, more visual. So again, people don't have to leave their houses more and more. Gary, Waldorf, Maryland, townhome communities. I didn't know that. Down in Waldorf, they're building new townhouse communities that are basically rental communities. So that's a new thing. I mean, we never seen that really before. So I think you're going to see a little bit more of that too. So as landlords, if you want to own some properties, this is a good sign, right? There's more people that are going to need to rent homes as a precursor to buying a house down the road. So, what's our market? What's going on? Why are all these people saying things are going to be a little bit better in 2024? Well, I don't know if it can be any worse. 2023 for a lot of people in the real estate and professional business was tough, as Jason said. A lot of realtors leaving the business, a lot of loan officers leaving the business, a lot of title companies laying off people. I was in a closing in Virginia in late fall, big office, and cube after cube after cube. Folks, there was nobody there. And I asked the title processor, is it because everyone's working from home? She goes, well, that, and we just don't have any business right now. I mean, last fall, it was tough. And those of you in the business, I'm sure, got calls from home inspectors, from termite pest control companies, from title companies, from loan officers offering you luncheons and different seminars and different things to take advantage of because they're trying to build rapport. They're trying to build connection because they need some of that business. Sweat equity buyer. Yes, Norm, I'm coming back to that. Exactly. So this is what's going on. And this is why people generally, the national stage, and I'm going to get to our local market because the last piece I'm going to talk about is multiple listing service, our multiple listing service. Great treasure trove of data in there. I want to go over a little bit of it for you. The reason people are feeling a little bit better about the market is they're seeing rising inventory. I guess listings, and I'll break this down locally, but nationally, listings, the amount of houses that came on the market rose about 4%. So they're seeing a few more people kind of putting their houses on the market, which is a good thing. They're also seeing those sellers that are now putting, and I've done this, that are putting their houses on the market. Their pricing is more stable, if you will. They're not looking at the last house in their neighborhood that sold for $750 and bumping their house to $8.25, right? They're putting it at about $750. I mean, prices are stabilizing, it seems like. They're certainly going up a little bit. I'll tell you why in a minute, but they're coming to the market with more more realistic expectations. Hopefully the real estate realtor community is helping driving some of that too. So you have rising inventory, you have housing that is a little bit priced a little bit better. And then they're seeing a tremendous surge in mortgage application demand. It went up 22% in December. So again, the big boys, the national companies look at these stats. They're data driven, folks. They look at these and go, okay, well, if mortgage applications are going up, that means more people are interested in buying a home. Okay, inventory listings are going up. That means more people are putting their houses on the market, and prices are stabilizing somewhat. That means 2024 will be a better year than 2023. And then also the big gorilla in the room, the Fed has signaled that we're at the top of the rate hike, and that in this year they expect, anyone will say, 3 to 6 rate cuts, what will affect long-term mortgages. Mortgages will come down a little bit, they'll stabilize, and that will kind of help the real estate market. Right now, depending on the lender, I think you're looking at anywhere from 6.5% to 7%. Split the difference, 6.8% or so seems to be, they kind of move all the time. So those mortgage rates came off that 8% that we had in the fall and kind of come down. Most people believe they're going to come down a little bit and kind of stabilize right around that 6% range. Okay. So those are some of the stats, if you will, some of the reasons that a lot of these folks believe that our real estate market is going to be better in 2024. Again, as I talk through this, if you're seeing and reading other things, feel free to comment on this. I kind of jumped into this presentation, but what REIA is all about is just a sharing of ideas of people that are actively involved in the real estate market right here. Our goal and my goal is, when I leave here tonight, when I walk to my car, hopefully I can say, I feel like we gave them some good practical ideas, things that we're seeing and experiencing in our businesses and our other partners' businesses that they can apply to their business, that they can take right away. Tuesday morning, wake up and go, okay, last night at Watching REIA, we heard this. What am I seeing? How am I doing this? What can I implement into my own business to make it a little bit better? And that's always our goal here. So if you have any thoughts or comments, we're always willing to hear those. All right, so let's come down to the most important part of this evening, and that's what's happening in our local market. Okay. It's great to hear about Zillow. If you look hard enough, you can find the top real estate markets for 2024 from Zillow. And if you look hard enough, those same cities will be on the ones that are not performing. So it's all over the map. I mean, that's why I say no one really knows, but it's good to read. It's good to hear what they say. They're looking at a lot of data and they're trying to come up with what they believe will be a better year. But again, they're telling you this too, because their whole businesses depend on this. Okay. Their whole businesses depend on this, but let's kind of dive into the bright MLS. Those of you that are realtors or around the real estate business, that that's our local multiple listing service. It goes from Southern Maryland to Northern Virginia down to the Carolinas. I mean, it's a big listing service, and there's so much data in there. So if you have an opportunity to kind of sit down with a realtor or you are a realtor and really look at some of this data, it can certainly help. It can also overwhelm you. Okay. It can also overwhelm you. So let's just look at a few things here. December 2023 in DC. All right. This is Washington, DC proper. This is not the metro area. I'll get to that here in a minute. But we had a closed sales. Okay. The number of houses that closed, we were off 14% from December of 2022. So they compare yearly 23, 22 in December. Their active listings was down 13%. December 23 was down 13% from December 22. So again, the whole reason that we've been able to survive, the whole reason we've been able to make pretty good money as real estate investors is a lack of inventory. There's no supply. So if you have the ability to identify and to capture and to control a real estate deal, if your exit strategy is to sell that down the road, wholesale it or fix it up and sell it, when you go back on the market, there's just very little supply. And so that's kind of holding everything up. Now, if all of a sudden our inventory rose and more people put houses on the market, our prices might come down a little bit just from a competition standpoint, or you might see a little bit more help, closing help asked for, as Jason said. So, having this lack of inventory from an investor standpoint is one of the reasons that we're still making pretty good money on some of the deals that we have. New listings, big thing, right? You want to see how many new listings are coming on. Well, right now, 23 to 22 down 20%. So we're still not having the number of new listings that, really we need in order to kind of balance out this real estate market a little bit. All right. So let me flip through here. Let's get a little more detailed in some of these counties. I think some of this is fascinating. So let's look at closed sales. We just gave you DC, but I'm just going to rattle through these. Alexandria down 11%, Arlington County down 10%, Fairfax City down 29%, Fairfax County down 18%, Frederick down 36%. These are closed sales. Montgomery down 10, Prince George's down 16. This is in the month of December. Folks, this is month after month. That's why so many realtors are starving. Mortgage brokers are starving. Title companies are starving. Okay. There's just not a lot of sales going on. Median sales price. Now, look at this. Because we've had a lack of inventory. So if you're a buyer, there's just not that many choices. So in December, median sales price, Alexandria plus 17%, Arlington County plus 44%. There might have been a couple big sales to skew that a little bit. Fairfax plus 18, Fairfax County plus 8, Frederick plus 15, Loudoun plus 8, Montgomery plus 4, Prince George's plus about 5, 4.9, DC minus 4%. So DC actually went down year over year from a median sales price. Okay. So prices are going up. So again, it's not rocket science. No supply. Demand still kind of there, as Jason said. So prices inch up a little bit. If we have more supply, rates come down a little bit. More listings come on the market. More buyers are out there. I believe prices will kind of stabilize. They might go up a little bit. They might go down a little bit. Just depends on the area. As Jason said, the school district, condition, all those things we were taught as real estate investors. Okay. Let me go through a few of this and then we're going to talk through this a little bit. Demand index. I think this is interesting. There's so much data in the MLS. It's crazy. But January 20, now they're comparing Januaries. Again, when we started the new year last year, the demand, Alexandria minus 28, Fairfax minus 17, Fairfax County minus 30, Frederick County minus 30, Montgomery minus 22, Prince George's minus 17, DC minus 20. Folks, there was no demand. There's no demand. People were discouraged because prices were way up, mortgage rates were rising, and so the demand just fell off a cliff. And that's why 2023 was really kind of a hard year overall for the real estate industry. Okay. But what I really want to talk about is you and what you're going to do in 24. And more importantly, how we can position ourselves to have a good year. Now, again, it's hard to talk macro to you folks because I don't know what your strategy is, right? I don't know. Are you a buy, renovate, and sell person? Are you a buy and hold person? Are you more of a developer? We talked about that before the meeting with Jason. We know some guys that are developers, meaning they're taking properties, taking them down to the studs, doing everything new, top quality work, top quality materials, and they're setting a mark for a neighborhood. That's a little bit different than kind of a regular fix and flip guy. Or are you a wholesaler? Now, again, if you're a wholesaler, does it really matter what the market's doing? Not really. I shouldn't say that. It does a little bit because the more demand there is in the market, the more they can kind of jack up their prices and make a little bit more money. But are you a wholesaler? So you have to decide again. We started this last year on what you're going to do. What's your one thing? What's your strategy? All right. I can talk to you from my perspective. I'm a buy, renovate, and sell for income. And I'm a buy and hold guy for long-term net worth and cash flow. Okay. Those are my two strategies. And what I call retail wholesale some properties. All right. And let me explain that. For you buy, renovate, and sell folks out there, last year was, I think the last year and a half has been interesting because the competition on the investor side is fierce. I think all of us can agree with that. If you have different experience with that, please throw something in the comments. But the investors are hungry for deals, and they're bidding things up. Before I got on tonight, I found out that I didn't get a deal that I was working on. I thought I had. I thought everything was in place. But again, someone came in and offered them $30,000 more than I was willing to offer, and I lost the deal. And that stinks. You work really hard at something and you don't get it. But again, investors are offering, in my opinion, a lot of money for some of these properties. They're either willing to work for less, which I'm sure is maybe a little bit of the case, or they really don't know what they're doing, which I'm sure is a little bit of the case, or they expect the market to be different than I kind of expect. So the investor world is hungry for deals and is pretty competitive. Now, when you secure a deal and you renovate it, all right, and you put it back on the market, I think we heard from Jason that because of supply and because there's still some demand out there, your house will sell. Let me give you two examples, okay? First example is I took over a property that we had a hard money loan on. This was a long-standing property. The gentleman was a good operator. It went through the pandemic. He ran into some issues with the district. This was in Northeast. He ran into some contractor problems. He ran into some personal problems. We couldn't take the house back because there was no foreclosures going on. He wanted to stick with it, fight through it. And he just fell all over him. So we finally got him to decide to sign the property over. We went in. We had to redo a lot of his work because it wasn't really done that well. We had to get new permits. It took a while with Pepco to get the power on. It was just one of those properties that wasn't working out for anybody. And we finally finished the property. We got the certificate of occupancy. We put the house on in late fall of last year. And I priced this thing exactly $750,000, $749,900, exactly. Actually, I was at $769,900, exactly what I thought the 2-level properties were selling for in that neighborhood. I walked neighborhoods. I looked at the 3 levels. I talked to realtors, and I thought we had it priced well. Got some showings, got some activity, no offers. As you know, rates were still going up late last fall. The market was very, very slow, especially in DC. In my opinion, in my experience, and the property sat. The investor, the person had the money on it, said, let's just keep going. Let's lower it a little bit. We went down to $749,900, a few more showings, but he was willing to wait. He was going to lose some money. I was going to lose some money. Everyone kind of lost some money on this deal. So we went along, and it was about 120 days, which is a long time on the market with no offer. I was just about to call him and say, listen, if we want to move this property, get capital back and get it moving again, we need to lower this thing and get rid of it. And before I did that, over Christmas break, over the holidays there, someone came in and made an offer. I was a little hesitant to open the offer because we were asking $750,000 and this house was on the market for a while. So I was expecting something pretty low. But they did come in at $730,000, pretty clean deal, very well qualified, $10,000 closing help. I talked to the investor. We didn't even counter. We said, you know what? Good enough. Let's move the property and get going. And so we're scheduled to close that deal here in the next few days. Money will be back. Everyone lost money and we'll move on. That DC market, in my opinion, is a little bit slower. I thought there was some extenuating circumstances with this, the way the street was, with some of the media-driven crime, with interest rates. But really, I think it was more interest rates than anything else. And as the interest rates ticked down a little bit in December, we saw a little bit more activity. And it's strange how that happens, but it's real. It's people's pocketbooks. And so I really think that was one of the reasons. Our timing was just all off on that. So that was one experience. Second experience, I bought something in late November, a little townhouse in the suburbs in Bowie. Very simple 3-level townhouse. Needed a kitchen, needed new windows, flooring, typical things to cosmetically update this property. Bought it at a very a good number, $260,000. Went in, did the work, and right at the beginning of January, about the first week of January, when people kind of came back, I threw it on the market. Didn't know what the expectations were, but I got some phone calls, got some showings. Not a flood. It wasn't like 2021, as Jason said, where everyone was coming through and offering crazy amounts, but I did get some showings. And at the end of the weekend, 4 days on the market, I had 3 offers. Okay, I had 3 offers, and I went back to him and asked for best and final. I was asking 399.9, and I got 410. No closing help. Home inspection that's been done, waiting for the results, and we'll close that in early February. And that's going to turn out to be a very lucrative deal and a very good deal. So the market to resell these houses is still very good, I believe. I would be extremely careful though. I wouldn't overpay. And now again, this is coming from someone that lived through 2008. And I found out that, hey, I'm better off looking for good deals versus dealing with deals that are not good deals where we're working for free. I'm better spending my time looking for the opportunities and the good deals. Right now, as I go into 2024, I am optimistic. I believe this year will be a pretty good year if we can find the right deals. I am not going to overpay for things just because I want a deal to work on. I am very hesitant to buy a large renovation in the district right now. When I say large renovation, meaning one of these houses, you know them, that needs everything, that you're going to spend $125,000, $150,000 on. I'm really more focused on projects that I can get in and out in a couple of months, more heavy cosmetic deals. Now, again, I realize everyone wants those deals, but I'm willing to take my time, be patient, maybe do a few less deals this year, but make those deals very, very good. Okay, very, very good. Forget about volume. For me, I want to do targeted, good deals that we can finish relatively quickly and either resell or secondarily, if we can't sell, be willing to hold for a little bit of time. Okay, so put a renter in there and be willing to hold. On this house in Bowie, this townhouse in Bowie, while I was marketing it, I got 2 or 3 people that reached out and said they were willing to pay me $2,700, $2,800 rent, which, folks, would have made sense to hold that property long term. The rents make sense. So I wasn't going to get hurt on that if the market takes a big left turn and we don't get the rate cuts we want, and the rates continue to be at elevated levels, and something happens in the world that we don't know about. Certainly Israel was a surprise in the fall. The Russian-Ukrainian conflict is still going on. We don't know what can happen. Okay. So if I'm looking for opportunities, I'm looking for the ones I know that my crews do well, that we can get in and out of, and that we can make a little bit of money on. The other thing to take into account as you go forward here is the election. We have a presidential election this year. And again, we're not going to get into who you're going to vote for. The fact is, generally, in presidential election years, the administration keeps the economy chugging at some kind of decent level. And so how do we play all that into it? And who knows? But history tells us those years, economy-wise, are okay. So if that's the case, I think we'll be fine too. Now, coming back to Norm's question, coming back to the comment by Zillow, I'm seeing a huge opportunity, and I'm thankfully taking advantage of it. I wish I could take advantage of it 10 times the way I have, but I'm seeing the demand for the houses are such that we don't have to do these crazy renovations that once we were kind of required to. Now, if you're in DC and the house is falling over or wherever, you need to do everything, clearly. But if you're in the suburbs and the house, was livable, you can do a lot less renovation and sell to exactly what this sweat equity buyer making a comeback. Yes, yes, yes. The last 4 or 5 deals I've done have been just that. We've gone in and done just enough to get that sweat equity buyer to come through the door and pay us the exact same amount, or the profit was the exact same amount as if we spent another $40,000, $50,000 on the renovation. I bought a property in Alexandria, paid $500,000 for it. Went in, cleared it out. We painted it Greek. I call it Greek Villa white, so it was all fresh and clean. Okay, we did not do the flooring. We did not do the kitchen. We left the old bathrooms. We left the old windows. The roof was newer. The systems were okay. We cleaned out the basement. We painted it all a nice white, clean. It wasn't leaking. And I threw that thing on the market for $649,900, $650. I think the true value of it is there was a comp in the neighborhood at 7.25. Okay. But man, the phone rang and I got a great buyer, 30-day close, $650,000. Folks, I made the exact same amount of money as if I went and did the windows and did the flooring and did the kitchen and did the bathrooms and tried to get that 725 mark. So yes, that handyman special buyer is here and well, and they're appreciative. They're thankful. They feel like they got a deal. It goes all the way back to when I first bought my first house with my wife in Silver Spring. I paid $138,000 for it. The houses in the neighborhood are selling for 160. This was pre John Peterson investor. This was John Peterson painting contractor. Man, I thought I stole that house. I thought, man, I got such a great deal. In reality, I didn't get a great deal at all. By the time I had to paint it and do the floors and clean it out and eventually do the kitchen and do the windows, I overpaid for that house. But I thought that I got a great deal. And it was something we could afford at the time. So we felt good about it. We could live in the house. We didn't need a brand new kitchen. We didn't need brand new windows at that time. We just wanted to get into a house. So that market's coming back. That market's coming back. The house in Bowie, the townhouse. Folks, I would have redone those bathrooms 2 or 3 years ago. I would have spent more money on different things in the house. I did end up doing the kitchen. I didn't want to, but as we started taking out the cabinets, they were falling apart in our hands. And we said, this is ridiculous. We got to rip this out and put a new kitchen in. So I did do a few things that I wasn't planning on it, but it didn't matter. It gave a good product. And we were hopefully able to sell that house. So be on the lookout for that. If you're an investor, you know the drill, you know the houses. If they're in good shape, they still need updating, but you can move some of those houses a little quicker. I call that retail wholesaling personally. We don't do a whole lot of work to them and we move them pretty quick. And I find that we move those out to the market. We do very, very well in those houses. And I'm definitely focusing on that this year. I always kind of have a strategy as I buy the house, 1, 2, 3 type thing. Maybe can we sell it as is? Can we do a little bit of work or do we have to go all the way with it? And we kind of test some of those things as we go through the process. So Dominic listening, he's been involved with me on some of those deals. Carlos Evans, if he's on, we did a deal like that about a year ago in Hyattsville, did really well on that deal. So there's opportunity here with that sweat equity buyer. Okay. All right. Jason, if you're still around, can you come back in? There he is. I know you probably took a nap, half hour, but if you heard some of that, do you agree or disagree that, this year now let's flip you over to an investor. That's a direct question. Now you're an investor. Some of your investment properties, are you seeing some of the same things where it's competitive to get them? No doubt. People are paying up. But when we get a good deal in our mind, whatever your analysis is and how you look at houses, once you finish that renovation, whatever you're doing, you're finding that you're able to sell those, in a reasonable amount of time at a good number.
So I'll give you two case studies real quick. And you hit the nail right on the head when you said you need multiple strategies when you go in and do this stuff. I picked up, even though things were a little light on the retail side, I did pick up a buy and hold last summer in Brunswick. And the reality is I picked it up in the summer, but 6 months prior, I pitched a price. I pitched 135 for a single family. The numbers didn't work out. She wanted 155. A wholesaler brought it to me. 6 months later, because of the way that the supply was, I went back to the wholesaler and said, hey, did this lady do anything with that house? And he didn't know, so we had to call. And I pitched 155 because we saw an increase of about 10% in prices, so it made sense. Now, the reality at 155 is I had it all specced out as if I would sell it, fixed up and flip it for $325 somewhere in that neighborhood. And I just put about $15,000 into it, rented it out. I'm getting $2,000 a month. Right. So that number made sense to just say, well, do I put a little, and let's put it as a placeholder. Right. Now, let's go to Baltimore where I'm working now. And if anybody wants to come and see me in Joppa Road, I have a renovation going on now in Baltimore County. That one I bought very competitively. I bought it at 160. The renovations are going, more than I want to. My original idea was to put a tenant in there for about $2,300 a month. But again, because I got to eat like everybody else, I'm focused on flipping it, getting some eat money, so to speak. But then I'm looking at a couple other opportunities in College Park. So the key on all this stuff is try to hold as much as you can. But if the retail side is down for me on real estate,
Right.
and when I purchased this in November, I didn't know that real estate was going to have an uptick. So there was a little bit of a lag time, but now I'm knee deep in the renovation and I don't want to have all that money trapped in it. So, I love real estate. A lot of ways to skin a cat in this game,
Right.
but it's always good to have people, and you're one of them, John, that I can bounce ideas off of and say, hey,
Right.
what do you think?
Right. Right. That's good. How do you get your leads? Wow. That's about an hour and a half to 3 hour to 5 day discussion.
There's no magic bullet in this game. That much I know. And
Yeah.
so real quick, if people haven't, the best way to get in touch with me is Facebook. You'll see that you can send me a friend request. I show people what I do on these flips. I think Dominic's actually on there and has seen some of my work. And all my stuff's word of mouth. And I don't buy anything on the MLS. That being said, I know plenty of investors that do. It's just never been my cup of tea.
The quick question there, one of the ways, there's many ways, and we'll go over a number of ways, but over the course of our meetings, but one of the ways, as Jason does, is networking, is staying in touch with, build relationships and deals. Now, again, if you're brand new and you don't know anyone, one of your jobs is to get out there and network with realtors, network with other investors, network with wholesalers, network with sellers, network with anybody you can think, contractors, all the people that are around housing, to try to get yourself in some good leads. But I want to end tonight. We always try to honor you guys' time and end on time. I want to end tonight with letting you know that, and I had 4 or 5 people over the holidays ask me, when are we coming back live? Folks, we are back live. We are back live in 2023. We're going to be back live in 2024. We call it the team of 24. Okay. What we're doing for live meetings is, again, we start the live meetings in March and we go through the balance of the year, 6 months, with live meetings. We keep these to team of 24 people. Okay, right around that number. And we meet monthly, and we meet sometimes at the office. Sometimes we meet at a property. Maybe we might meet at a team, we call them team members property, and they'll walk through us. They'll tell us numbers, how they found it, what their goal, what their strategies are, how much money they look to make, whether they're going to flip it, whether they're going to hold it. Last year, we had Charlie, who runs a big hard money fund, come in and speak with us as a team member. So we build these teams every week, if you will. And then we really focus on the members' goals. So if you want to become a part of that, okay, team of 24, we're building it right now. You can go on the website. It's right there on the screen. Sign up. It does cost some money. It's $5.95 for the live meetings of Washington REIA. We're here every month online, virtually, but these are our live meetings. And folks, if you're involved in the real estate at any level, there's nothing better to be around people, not seminar leaders, around people that are actually doing the business. Now, again, you've heard from me for years, and if you're new, that's great. I've been active in this business for 30 years, and we have all these people that are part of this group, if you will, that understand the power of networking, the power of resources, the power of getting to know people that are in the business. So if you stumble across a lead and you don't know what to do yet, you call someone like Jason, you call someone like me. I promise you, and I'm speaking for him, that if you call Jason with a good lead, he will walk you through it. He might even offer you some capital to do it. He might offer you some renovation experience. Yes, will they want to partner on the deal? Sure. But the point is, you're surrounding yourself with people that are doing the kinds of things that you want to do in this market. Now, again, I see this. I'm looking for multifamily off market. Anyone have any info, let me know. Again, that's what you're looking for. That's when you need to be part of a group of people that can help you, get you educated, understand the numbers, understand where you find these properties, and can move you forward. So I hope tonight you guys enjoyed some of this, some of our insight. I know that a lot of you have your own opinions of what's going to happen in 2024. Just to sum it up, I believe we're going to have a very good market, but you need to be cautious. Don't overbuy. Don't stretch. Don't think that your house is going to be worth $30,000 more just because the last few years it has been. It might not be. So make sure your numbers are solid. Try to have multiple strategies if you can. That's very difficult in the DC Metro, but if you can, try to have multiple strategies and just rely and build your network and resources. And I think we'll have a really good year. Jason, thank you so much. His numbers across the screen, reach out to him. He's a great resource. We're going to have other folks like Jason on. It's about spreading, kind of spreading our network and resources so everyone can benefit this year. But I want to thank everyone for joining us. If you have anyone else that would benefit from our team of 24, please let them know. If you have other ideas for us as we go through this year, we're always willing to listen, to hear what you have to say. And you can reach out to my email there or cell phone if I can help you in any way. We're active, looking for deals, and here to help you. So thanks so much for joining us. We're off to hopefully a great start in January 2024. Look forward to working with you and seeing you as the year goes forward. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks.